Good evening, everyone. I'm Julia Neiman with the Kern Fire Safe Council. We've made some changes in our format this year. Our webinars are going to be presented quarterly rather than monthly, and the topics will be timely for the season. If you want to view the replays or share our webinars with a friend, we now have a YouTube channel that you can find at youtube.com/@Kern Fire Safe Council 7619. Our presenter tonight is Wendy Ward, Kern County's Fire Mitigation Coordinator. If you're watching the replay and you have any questions for Wendy, you can reach her at outreach@kernfiresafe.org. That's outreach@kernfiresafe.org. So our topic tonight is Firewise communities, what it is and how to become one. Thank you, Wendy Ward, Kern County Wildfire Mitigation Coordinator, for being here tonight. So take it away.
Thank you, my friend. Good evening, Julia. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope that this session is informative and kind of answers some questions or opens your eyes into something that's a possibility for you to get along and work with your community and neighbors to make your home ready and prepared for wildfire, along with creating a sense of community. And that is really what the Firewise program is about, is really going back to the roots of working with your neighbors, getting to know them, and collaboratively working together to make sure that you guys are all ready for wildfires. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll turn my camera off so that you guys aren't having to go back and forth. Again, if you have any questions and I don't answer anything by the end of this presentation, please feel free to reach out to us at outreach@kernfiresafe.org, and we'll be happy to answer any of the questions you have. Also, if you're interested in having us come speak to your community or your neighborhood or your HOA, your POA, or just a group of people that you're interested that think might want to know about the Firewise program or that could benefit from it, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, that's outreach@kernfiresafe.org. So let me go ahead and get going. So the Firewise program. The Firewise program helps communities become organized, find direction, and act through education to reduce communities' ignition resistance by collaborating with local fire departments or fire safe councils. Now, it increases individual responsibility of homeowners and the community. Everyone who lives adjacent to wildland fire hazard areas has a role in preventing wildfire. And that driving force is to protect loved ones and their property and their most financial asset, which is their home. It also encourages neighbors to help neighbors by preventing wildfires and doing your efforts in your home or around your home. You're able to be working towards a communal effort because it is a village. It does take everybody. We do need to be taking personal responsibility for our presence in the wildland area. So there are the four main goals of the Firewise program is education, reducing wildfire risk to homeowners, fostering individual homeowner responsibility, and encouraging neighbors to help neighbors. All too often we get so busy in the day in and day out, or we're running to do errands, or we're taking care of things, or we're online at home, or we're watching TV, or whatever it may be. And we may get so busy that we may not have that relationship with our neighbors. We may not be doing the things around our home to prepare for a wildfire, or we may not be working collectively to make sure that everybody's prepared. So the NFPA Firewise program. Now, the Kern Fire Safe Council and myself are here to assist you in the process, and I'll explain that throughout the presentation. But CAL FIRE has a California State Liaison, which is associated with the NFPA, which is the National Fire Prevention Association. Now, the CAL FIRE Liaison and myself and the Kern Fire Safe Council are here to assist you in the application assistance to the Office of the State Fire Marshal for becoming Firewise. We are not here as a regulatory body. We are not here as an enforcement agency. We are here as supportive, collaborating partners with you. This is a complete program that is driven by the homeowners and the communities themselves. It is nothing of enforcement. It is nothing of oversight or anything like that. We're here mainly to assist you in becoming FireWise so that you can have the benefits of being prepared for wildfire. Now, the FireWise program, it provides a framework to help neighbors in a geographical area get organized, find direction, and provide structure. Take action to increase the ignition resistance of their homes and community, and reduce wildfire risks at the local level. Now, what does that mean to you as a homeowner? Basically, it brings everybody together. It gives them the structure that they need in order to become FireWise, to address the things that they have on their properties or within their community, and then help them collectively work together so that they can be prepared for wildfire. Now, we come in, and if you want us to, we will give suggestions, or Kern County Fire would come in and explain fire history patterns, or they might go through different concerns that we as homeowners or the average citizens may not see. So if you want them to come and talk to you guys, they're here to support you as well. They're not here for enforcement. They're not looking for trying to catch you or anything of that. They're here in a supportive role. A lot of times we all want to do a lot of things constructively and in a positive manner, but we don't have the structure. And so the FireWise program has a plan that you guys would come up with, and it puts it down into pen and paper to where you would better know and keep on track with the things that you want to do in order to make your home and your community FireWise. Now, when I refer to community, I will say a FireWise community. It may be something just as much as a neighborhood. It doesn't have to be an HOA. It doesn't have to be the complete POA or the whole community you live in, say Fraser Park or Pine Mountain Club or Kernville or Lake Isabella or something like that. The FireWise community is just a small set of homes, up to a large set of homes, whoever decides to be in this community as part of the process. So it is a voluntary community-oriented program, right? It teaches people how to be prepared for wildfire. All too often, a lot of homeowners may not know the precise steps that are needed to prepare their home for wildfire, or they may not be able to address those needs, so it helps prioritize them. It is community-led and driven by the residents. It is not driven by the Kern Fire Safe Council, and it is not driven by the Kern County Fire Department. Again, and I'll keep saying this over and over because I want to make you guys comfortable in knowing that you would be taking shared responsibility and ownership of the development of your FireWise community and the maintenance of that certification. So the Kern Fire Safe Council and the Kern County Fire Department are here as a resource to support, not regulate or impose. We are here to support you. You guys taking your own initiative and your own efforts to address the needs in your home and in your community is nothing to be looked down upon, and it is nothing to be criticized. We are here to be supportive, and we are here to give any expertise or insight that you may not know. So I put together this little flow chart. If you can see, the NFPA FireWise program is up at the top, and then you have the liaison with CAL FIRE, and then underneath that you have the Kern Fire Safe Council and the Kern County Fire Department off to the side, and in the center you have the regional FireWise coordinator. And then underneath that, you have the resident community leader. So the Kern Fire Safe Council and the Kern County Fire Department are here to support the FireWise coordinator and the resident community leader in making sure that the community is prepared and completes the FireWise process. The benefits of becoming a FireWise community. The community is working together towards reducing wildfire risks. It identifies potential projects to create a more wildfire prepared community through risk reduction. It helps firefighting efforts, and it creates and increases community awareness and relationships. Again, it's bringing together and tying all of the things that individual homeowners or a community needs to do to reduce the risk reduction of wildfire in their neighborhood. Now, we're never going to be able to prevent wildfire, but we sure as heck can do what we can to prepare for it and make sure that we reduce the damage or the liability of the wildfire. So, other benefits to becoming FireWise. So you will do a wildfire risk assessment, which helps the neighbors gain insight into community wildfire risks. It improves awareness of fire safety issues and best practices. Maybe you're not aware, or it's not present in your mind about the roads or the trees along the road, or your way in and your way out, which are called ingress or egress, right? The way you come into your home and the way you leave your home. Or there may not be awareness of the ridge lines or the topography of your land around your homes. And so you might be aware of yours on your property, but you're not really aware of your neighbors or aware of something down the street, or to that extent. So, and then the next part of the Firewise program is education. So it's really important in Firewise that you guys stay up to date on the latest information in preparing your home and your neighborhood for wildfire. So annually, Firewise will ask that you do some type of education. Now, there's only a minimum requirement of hours, so they're going to ask you to record that and report that back to them. But it's nothing major. It's just a couple hours a year that the community commits to doing that. So, other benefits to becoming Firewise. It shows a commitment by homeowners and a community to making sure that they are reducing the risks of their homes to wildfire. And so that sometimes does play a part in insurance. That is not the driving force for Firewise, right? We should be thinking about life, property, and then the financial benefits. But I know that that's a really huge topic right now. And so there are some insurance carriers that are offering a reduction in your premiums or in the additions to your insurance policies due to where you live. You will need to consult with your insurance provider or the Department of Insurance website. Okay, so we can tell you where you need to go to get that information, but we don't assist with that because every insurance agent or broker or company is different. And so it's really important that you check with your insurance broker, insurance company personally. So there's 4 quick steps. I say quick, but the process usually takes about 6 to 9 months. But there's 4 steps that you need to do in order to become certified and recognized as a Firewise community. And the first is to organize. Now, in order to become a Firewise community, you only have to have a minimum of 8 dwelling units and a maximum of 2,500 units. So if you have a neighborhood that is, say, 12 houses, that is eligible to be a Firewise community. If you have a community of an HOA, or you have several streets, or you have a subdivision or something like that, that is 300, 500, 700 homes, 1,200 homes, you can do that as well. But the big thing is you have to be a minimum of 8 residential units and 20 or up to 2,500 units. It must be contiguous. So I have a map here on the right, and you can see that all of the homes within this boundary would be considered a Firewise community. Excuse me. In being Firewise, they must be contiguous, meaning they must be attached. So you can't checkerboard the homes of like every other neighbor, or leave one of your neighbors out and go 4 houses down or something like that. And I'm going to explain that not every member in that Firewise community has to be participating. And I'll go into detail on the pros and cons, or how that works. So they must be contiguous. You need to avoid checkerboarding. So you can't zigzag throughout one street. You would want to get one street or one neighborhood that is all stuck together. Again, people can be in that boundary map, but not participating in Firewise. And if that is the case, they don't reap the benefits of being recognized as a Firewise community. And then you're going to form a Firewise committee. You want to have 3 to 5 people. Do you have to have that many? No, you don't. Does it make it easier for you? Yes. So you don't want a committee of 25, because that might be really hard in your span of control to get together and find free time. I serve in several different groups, and finding 5 people to get together for a certain time during the week is hard enough. So the larger the committee is, the longer it might take you to get things done or to get everything and everyone together. So, you want to have a small committee in this neighborhood, and then you're going to get together and you're going to start planning it. And so you're going to do the wildfire risk assessment in consultation with the Kern County Fire Department. Do you have to include them in this process? No, you do not. Would it be beneficial to you? Yes. The Kern County Fire Department is very aware of the fire history in your neighborhood. They can read the land, they know the evacuation routes, they know all of the things pertinent to your overall community that you may not know as homeowners. And so it might be a good thing to reach out to them so that they can assist you in this process. And then you're going to create a 3-year action plan. So this 3-year action plan is a plan that you guys as the homeowners develop. This is not something the Fire Safe Council or the Kern County Fire develops for you. Can we give insight or suggestions or input if you're needing that, or direction? Yes, we can. But again, it's going to be driven from you guys. One, you know what is best for your neighborhood, and you know what your neighborhood is capable of. And it's really looking at what you guys can do and actively working to reduce. Now, the next one, you're going to do it. So you're going to host a community event and work with neighbors on addressing items in the action plan. So your community comes together. They develop that 3-year action plan. Now you're going to put together your efforts and you're going to host events. Do you have to all be completing your risk reduction or cleaning your yards on the same day or doing your weed whacking and trimming your trees? No, you don't. Do you want to get together and have a collective kind of timeline of when you guys should be doing that? Yes, you should. There will be a lead in your community who is overseeing the Firewise program. So you're going to want to pick someone in your community that has the organizational skills or the follow through and that fortitude to kind of be keeping everything going, right? They got to keep everything together. And so in a Firewise community, everybody needs to commit to 1 volunteer hour per residence in the wildfire risk reduction actions. So if you have a community of 12 homes, that means you are collectively going to have to put together 12 hours of wildfire risk reduction activities in order to stay in compliance with being Firewise recognized. So this would be vegetation removal, tree trimming, it might be home hardening, it might be, say you hire someone to come and clean your yard and help you with that because one, you don't have the time or you don't have the capability of doing that, and that can be calculated into it. And so when I say 1 hour of volunteer time towards wildfire risk reduction, that is for the community as a whole. So it's 1 hour per residence in the community. If there are 500 homes, there needs to be a collective of 500 hours. Whether or not a home is participating in the Firewise program, if they are within that boundary map, that is an hour that is expected. So I'm going to reference your neighbor Joe who doesn't want to participate. There would be an hour for his residents that would be expected, but it could be tabulated through another neighbor or a homeowner doing another hour. Now, having lived in the wildland and the wildland urban interface, I know that with my family, I'm spending hours upon hours of cleaning my vegetation or doing vegetation removal, cleaning my yard, doing the weed whacking, home hardening, tree trimming, all of those efforts. So that easily can be overcome by one neighbor in that community doing more than 1 hour a year. So on average, neighbors are doing 4, 6, 8, 12 hours a year. So that easily can be overcome. So if Joe down the street doesn't want to participate, that's okay, because you still overcome it with the other neighbors that are doing more than 1 hour. So the next one is you're going to apply it. So the 4th step is you're going to submit your application through the Firewise portal. Now that is an independent portal with the NFPA site. It does not come through the Kern Fire Safe Council, and it does not go through the Kern County Fire Department. It goes straight to the NFPA Firewise Community Program. Again, CAL FIRE, Kern County Fire, and myself with the Kern Fire Safe Council are here to support you and assist you in this process, but you're going to be dealing directly with NFPA because this is your plan, this is your community, and these are your efforts. So that first step, if I go back right here, number 2, you have the wildfire risk assessment. There are 7 criteria in this risk assessment. Now, NFPA has done a really, really, really good job at trying to simplify the process. They've tried to make it in common language. They've tried to make it easily accessible. questions are easy to answer. The calculations are easy. It's really pretty basic things that you can answer about your community without needing a lot of research or help. But again, the Kern Fire Safe Council, Kern County Fire Department, and the CAL FIRE Liaison are here to support you in that process. Now, the 7 risk components that are in this wildfire risk are these. Number 1, it wants you to identify your community committee. So who's your team? You're going to answer who your team is. Then you're going to give general information about your community. You're going to talk about local wildfire characteristics. Now I'm going to go into these in more detail in a second. You're going to have your observations, zone descriptions. You're going to give a summary, and you're going to give recommendations. Again, those are recommendations that you will develop with your community and your committee for your Firewise community. So, local wildfire characteristics. So you've already identified your committee. You've already identified the general information and all of that about your community. Now you're going to go on to local wildfire characteristics. So in these 4 simple questions, you're going to answer some characteristics. You're going to describe the vegetation in your neighborhood. You're going to describe the topography. Is there canyons, chimneys, steep slopes? Are there ridge lines and stuff like that? And then you're going to talk about your wind exposure and your history of wildfire. Now, this is a good one, good category or good area that if you have questions, this is what Kern County can answer for you. So the Kern County Fire Department, they can give you fire and wind history. They can talk to you about your vegetation and your topography and stuff like that. So the next one, you're going to complete the observation category. Now here are 4 of the questions, or 2 of the questions. There's actually 4, but it's going to ask about the different roofing materials, your soffits, your vents. It's going to talk about your homes. So you're going to go around your neighborhood or your potential Firewise community, and you're going to calculate this. And so if you have 50 homes, you're going to go through and say how many have this type of roofing, how many do not have it. Soffits and vents and siding. I have 25% that are wood sided. I have 75% that, have really updated and good quality windows. I'm going to go around and say, oh, my roof and gutter debris, those are greater than 75% are not clean and not taken care of and not addressed. Now, this observation is not to catch you, or they're going to try and like, oh, you're not in compliance or something like that. These observations are to help you identify the risks of your neighborhood so that in your action plan, you can come up with targets. So if you go in roof and gutter debris, a lot of your homes in your neighborhood are not prepared, they're not covered, they're not clean, they're not open. That could be a target that you put on your action plan. Skirting and wood. Some of your neighbors are like, I'm going to commit to doing this to my neighbor or to my house or to my home to get it ready. Someone's like, oh, I'm replacing a roof. Sweet, that's great. It helps you guys meet the goals because you're going to be increasing your home hardening on your community. So the next, you're going to talk about your zones. So you're going to go around the homes. And again, you can have each of your homes report back to your committee. Your committee could go and canvass the neighborhood or canvass the community to come up with this data. There's nothing concrete or set in stone. It is done by the committee or the potential Firewise community. So however you guys set up your structure to put this together is how you guys will complete this process. So next you're going to go into your zones. Now your immediate zone or zone 0 is 0 to 5. And then your zone 1 or your intermediate is 5 to 30. And then your extended zone is 30 to 100 feet. So I've only shown you one zone here. It asks the same questions. It's just trying to break it up in the first 5 feet away from your house, the 5 to 30 feet away from your house, and then your 30 to 100 feet, right? So you're going to go around your neighborhood and you're going to look and you're going to check, are there fuel breaks? Are there lawns and native grass? Do you have ladder fuels? Now ladder fuels are bushes that lead to lower trees, that lead to higher trees, and so on. Again, this is something that Kern County Fire Department or the Kern Fire Safe Council can assist you in. And then you just simply calculate how many are treated and how many are not treated, how many are prepared or how many are not prepared. So the summary, we're now down to category 6. So as you can see, it's pretty quick. You know, if you spend a couple days in your neighborhood doing this, you're going to have all of those questions answered, and you're going to come up to this point of a summary, right? So you're going to summarize your characteristics, your observation, and your zone descriptions. So those last 3 categories that you went through and you checked out your neighborhood, you checked out the homes, you calculated all of that stuff, you're going to indicate it here. And then you're going to tell what the findings are of your research in your neighborhood. You're going to want to make sure that all 11 categories in this assessment, right? You have your local fire characteristics, your observations, and your zone descriptions. Of those 3 categories, those 11 findings will go in here. And then you're going to come up with your risk assessment. So this risk assessment, again, is homeowner and community driven. It is not Kern Fire Safe Council, Kern County Fire Department, or CAL FIRE's oversight, direction, regulatory type thing. It is your guys' recommendation on what you want to do for your community over the next 3 years. So you're going to go through and you're going to say, we're going to address zone 0 to 5 or zone 0. We're going to go through as a community and we're going to clean those up. We are going to do gutters. We are going to do ladder fuels, right? We are going to reduce and commit to 50 hours. We are going to start doing whatever it is you guys determine. We're going to go to 1 meeting a year. We're going to go to 1 webinar. The Kern Fire Safe Council, we offer webinars every quarter. You guys could commit to going to 2 webinars a year, and then that would complete your education component. So you're going to need to talk with your homeowners in your community to develop the plan, what you are going to do and what you're going to commit to. You're going to have to complete a boundary map. So it's something I want to say is simple, but not everybody is techie, and that's where we can help you with that. But if you just do a Google overlay of the community or the neighborhood that you are looking at applying for a FireWise community, and you create a boundary map around it. Again, it has to be contiguous. It has to be all in one piece. It can't be floating around or anything like that. There can't be someone isolated. You're going to do a contiguous map, and then you're going to submit that in your portal. In your 3-year action plan, so you had your recommendations. Now you're going to put down, in year 1, you're going to be a little bit more specific. We commit to doing these actions to be addressing and prepared for wildfire. We are going to do these home hardening goals, right? We're going to do siding, we're going to do gutters, we're going to do windows, we're going to do whatever it is. Now make sure that they are SMART goals, right? So they are measurable, attainable, they're realistic and timely. Don't try and set yourself up for failure. This is meant to be a successful program of community building. It is meant to get homeowners to start addressing the needs that their home and their community needs to be reducing the risk for wildfire and just addressing things. The more effort, if we are taking 1 step forward, we're still going forward. We're still making progress, right? So in this plan, you want to make sure that it's attainable by you and your community. If you put on there, you know what, we're all going to get new windows this year, the high likelihood of that happening is it's very low, right? It's not achievable, and it's not maintainable. It's not measurably maintainable in the sense of asking 30 homeowners to go and redo all of their windows in 1 year or their siding is kind of setting yourself up for a challenge. You're going to talk about defensible space and clearing around your home and in your property or your outbuildings or your structures and stuff like that. And then you're going to do some evacuation planning. So we've talked about all the characteristics and we've talked about, preparing your home, but there does need to be some action or plan of action and what you're going to do in evacuation, in a sense of an evacuation. So that could be something as simple as your community developing a small map or an action plan of notifying neighbors when a wildfire is coming that we got to go. Maybe it's packing your car, you're having your go bag or your disaster bag ready to go. So you got to have some time committed to evacuation planning. Now, in this, you're going to address, like I said, your evacuation planning, defensible space, home hardening, and the education and outreach. You're going to do this for years 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to want to kind of have them be a staired approach. So the first year you might attack one area really heavy. You might do something progressive. This year we do zone 0 to 5, right? We do the first thing closest to our home. Then the second year we work on ladder fuels. Or it could be a combination of this year we're going to work on our gutters and we're going to work on zone 0. So that's 0 to 5 feet around our home. Not everybody has to be doing the exact identical thing to their home, because as we know, we all live differently, our homes look differently, our finances are different, and also our capabilities are different. So you can have an overall goal. How an individual homeowner reaches that goal with you can be independently different. All right. So there's the fire management portal information. So you would go to the Firewise USA website. You will prepare all of your documentation. You will log into the portal and then you will upload the documents. Again, this is where the Kern Fire Safe Council or the CAL FIRE liaison is here to support and assist you guys, but it will be independently driven by the community and the community leaders. Now, I want to give a few closing remarks and spend some time here for a second. The average time to complete this is 6 to 9 months, and that is the community actively working together to put everything documentation-wise, data-wise together so that they can complete the application process. And so you're going to want to plan bigger than just your street and establishing your Firewise community, but not so large that you cannot manage it successfully. So I want to go back to Joe. Joe is in your community and Joe does not want to participate. With that, that is okay. Joe does not hold back your community from becoming Firewise. Joe can be in your boundary map. He can be kind of that outlier, that one that doesn't want to participate, and that's okay. You can still pursue becoming a Firewise community. Your map has to be contiguous and all put together, so if Joe doesn't want to participate, he's still going to be in your boundary map. Your community will hold who is a part of the Firewise community. So if you have a resident community leader, we have Bill or Maria down the street that keeps all the documentation, that keeps the organization and keeps record of all the hours and stuff like that. She keeps the recognition of being Firewise. So when you get recognized as a Firewise community, everybody that's participating will receive the documentation that they are part of a Firewise community. Whether it's insurance or whether it's the education or whether it's the collective community piece that you receive as being part of Firewise, that is what the homeowners who are part of the Firewise community will receive. Now, say you're a part of it, you have the recognition and you go and you receive the discount from your insurance broker, great, right? You show them that you're a part of the Firewise community and then you get the recognition and then you get the discount on your insurance. Again, there's no guarantee, but say that does happen. Joe down the street who's not participating is like, wait a minute, I'm in this boundary map. I should get the discount. You go back to your resident community leader, Maria, or whoever it is that's leading that and say, hey, Joe wants that recognition. Joe wants to become Firewise. And so the committee and Maria are going to say, well, Joe, if you want to be a part of this, you're going to have to contribute. And then once Joe starts contributing, that committee and that resident community leader can make the decision on saying that he receives the recognition. So again, someone can be in your boundary map, but if they are not participating, they don't receive the recognition of being a Firewise resident. Firewise recognized resident. Okay, so make sure that your map is large enough that it is comprehensive enough for your neighborhood and has fluidity to it, because you don't want down the road that if your map has this one gentleman who lives on a corner down the street because he has 2 acres not in your map, he wants to be included and he's been left out. So if that person wants to be included at some point and he's not in your original mapping, you got to start all over. So you really want to make sure that those outliers of properties, or even sometimes those outliers of homeowners, are still included in your boundary, because chances are at some point they may want to come into this process. And the sense of community that comes with Firewise is you don't want to leave anybody out. So whether it's topography or mapping or participation, it is a communal effort. And the idea is to keep everybody engaged and together and going forward. So you want to plan bigger for than just your street. Again, in my opinion, if you did a Firewise community of 2,500 homes, that span of control would be very difficult and challenging. But you may not want to be just 8 homes on the small side and leaving a couple more streets out. The collective may be better because some homeowners are doing more hours than other homeowners. So it can help you meet that hourly requirement. Or some homeowners may not, or they may be incapable of doing it due to physical or financial limitations. And so the other homeowners can help bring them along. Another thing is that it may not be just the homes that want to participate in your street. It may be looking at the overall approach, because those outlying streets or those outlying neighbors may be the ones that are a feeder piece of property from the wildland area. Say the forest is behind their home, and it could come right through them to you. So you really want to make sure you include and do a comprehensive look at what your community is. Again, the Kern Fire Safe Council and the Kern County Fire Department can help you with that. And sometimes identifying is, where do we cut them off? How big is too big? Are we too small, and should we include somebody? And so on. So when you're looking at that mapping, feel free to reach out to us and we will help you. The Firewise USA program is meant to foster community engagement and for homeowners to be proactive when it comes to being prepared for a wildfire. And it is not a compliance measure. It is not turned into anybody whether or not you meet your standards for the year. There's no enforcement or tickets or citations that are associated with the Firewise program and whether you belong or don't belong. It is here to help everybody become organized and be proactive. You know, one of the conversations that's tough for some homeowners is there won't be a fire truck in every driveway. They are looking at the community. And the best thing that you can do when they're triaging your homes is put your effort into making sure your home is prepared for wildfire. Wildfire sees and doesn't select anybody in particular. It just looks at risks and feeds off of those risks, right? So the more prepared you are in addressing your home, the more you show to wildfire, but also to the firefighters and everybody coming to protect your home. It is of value to you, and it should be of value to them. Okay, firefighters will go through and triage a neighborhood, and they will look who they can save and who they can't save. And one of the things is they do their best to save everybody. But if your house is a risk because you haven't done anything, it's really hard for them to look at saving your home or protecting it or protecting the community when they got to look at the overall picture. So make sure you put in effort and show everybody the value you have in your home so that they can have that as well. So I'm going to play a quick video, and I want to show you the difference between a house that is home hardened. And home hardened is where they have addressed their siding, their windows, their 0 to 5 feet, their bark, their wood siding, their porch, their deck, and so on. So 1 second.
So from start to finish, we're going to start with our ember generators, which we use to recreate a realistic ember exposure. Embers are those small burning and smoldering particles that may travel ahead of the fire front. And what we do with our generators is we create the realistic exposure, and in our wind tunnel, we're able to throw them at a building. And then we have a building that has 2 sides to it, a good side, which uses wildfire resistant construction, and what we're considering a typical building that we would see in a wildfire prone area. Exactly as we expected, that mulch on the ground there caught fire from the embers. The fire from the mulch burned up under this deck, and this whole deck was on fire. And so this fire on this deck caused flames right against the home. And then if we look there at the base of the door, it was actually the flames from this deck that burned through the bottom of the door. And on the inside of the house, we started to see smoke and flames. And so because this deck was a combustible material attached to the building, when the embers led to the ignition of this deck, we got flames inside of the building. Here we are on the wildfire resistant side of the house, where we had non-combustible siding, a 5-foot non-combustible zone and 6-inch gap. We had a metal gutter and multi-pane windows. And we see, in comparison to the non-wildfire resistant side, this side had the same ember exposure. If you look here in the mulch, you can actually see some of the embers that had accumulated, but because they had no susceptible fuel to ignite, they just landed there and fizzled out. Now here we have ornamental vegetation that, again, is susceptible to the embers, but because it's more than 5 feet away from the home, it didn't have enough energy to ignite, and it never led to a flame impact on the building.
Now, as you can see, the more you prepare your home, and the more you do to prepare it, the more resilient it is to wildfire. There are things called ember storms. It may not be the direct flame impingement that happens. It may not be the direct flame impingement, but more over the embers that get under your eaves or that touch your bark or get under your deck or hits the wood siding of your home. So it's really important that you do your home hardening efforts in your 0 to 5 and your 5 to 30 feet, because the direct flame may not be what gets it, but just the embers. So I'm going to offer these, and again, they'll be up on our website for you to look at, but there's Ready for Wildfire, and there's Preparing Your Home for a Wildfire. And these are educational resources that can be used in looking at your home and what you can do. And it will give progressive lists of items and actions that you can do, and the cost, or actually no cost at all. Sometimes the cost may just be the effort in what you do to prepare your home for the wildfire. Here's a link to the risk assessment and then a tutorial. So if you're having complications, you can go to the tutorial, but there's also a link to the risk assessment. The 3-year action plan and the risk reduction education examples are listed here. So it's going to give you different examples of what you could do to your home, what you could do to your neighborhood, what you can do to your property, and how you can prepare for that in developing your 3-year action plan. So again, my name is Wendy Ward. I'm the Kern County Wildfire Mitigation Coordinator. Our regional liaison is Captain Sean Arnold with CAL FIRE, and this is his contact. So with that, I will share my stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions. Kathleen or Julia?
Yes, I have some questions for you,
Sure.
Wendy. The first question is, how are evacuation decisions made and by whom?
So evacuations are, and those decisions are made by OES and the Kern County Fire Department, given the progress or direction of which the fire is headed or going, potentially.
How will I get the news of an evacuation if my cell service is down?
So there is, as far as that goes, ooh, that's a good one. So CAL FIRE is starting a new thing called Genesis, which is a web portal. So there is, there's the reverse 911, the app on your phone, and then there's also the emails. So when you set up the Genesis system, you can also get it through the reverse 911, and you can also get it through the web. And that you'll also have search and rescue that hopefully will be going door to door, helping to assist the sheriff's department in the evacuations.
How do I evacuate if I don't have a car?
How do you evacuate if you don't have a car? Well, if you're talking with your neighbors and hopefully working with them prior, you'll have a plan in place to work with them to help assist you in evacuating.
This all sounds like stuff you can do while you're doing FireWise, because you'll be getting to know your neighbors.
Very much so. So the FireWise program is really built on a sense of community. I think as we progress forward in our society and we get technologically advanced and a lot of things start happening, although we have all these resources at our fingertip, or these things that we can do, it's really coming back to success and survival is through our sense of community and doing the things that we need to do to prepare, and getting to know our community. That's when everything like you said, like when the phones go out, our neighbors will know who needs help and who doesn't. Our neighbors will be the ones to have the cars and have those resources. So definitely during Firewise in this process in the education planning and doing your 3-year action plan, just simply spending time with them, you're going to know who has the resources or who doesn't and who needs the help.
Another question, is there someone who helps with the evaluations of elderly or disabled residents during Firewise?
So the Kern Fire Safe Council and the Kern County Fire Department, we assist, like, I guess my question would be in assessing what is going on their property and what needs to be taken care of.
Yes.
Yes, so we can assist, and then Kern County Fire can like identify it, but they can't assist in taking care of it.
Mhm. I have 2 questions about livestock. Who can help me evacuate my livestock and where will they go?
Okay, so there are large animal evacuation programs in place. And so I would research on the web for who the local contact is, because the 3 different areas in Kern County have different points of contact, but there is large animal evacuations and they each have a plan in place. I don't want to say particularly which one goes to which because we don't know where the fire is coming in from what direction and then what resources they have.
Julia, are there any other questions?
No, I don't have any other questions. And Wendy, I want to thank you. That was a very informative presentation on Firewise communities. So
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah.
Our pleasure. So I want to let everybody know that we have some upcoming webinars. The next one is going to be May 1st of this year. That's 2024. And the topic is going to be Dispensable Space Wildfire Month. So May is Wildfire Month, and we're going to talk about dispensable space, which is very timely because the deadline is June 1st to have your property cleared. So that's going to be a good one. Be sure to tune in for that one. And then the next one will be in August, on August the 7th. And that's going to be about camping and being in the outdoors. And that's really necessary because how many people camp and don't know what they're doing in the forest and they light fires they're not supposed to light. So
Yeah.
that's a good one. And then November 6th will be our last webinar for this year, and that's going to be on holiday fire safety. So once again, many thanks, Wendy. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you and thank you everyone for attending the webinar. You can view our past webinars and find valuable resources for wildfire safety on our website at kernfiresafe.org. That's kernfiresafe.org. And this is Julia Neiman wishing you a good night from the Kern Fire Safe Council.
Thank you, everyone.